When doing my makeup, I get my face ready to apply my makeup. So usually I'm going to wash my face, moisturize, and apply sunscreen. Now, I do generally do my eyes first because that gives my skincare time to settle in. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to apply my contour. So this is the darkest shade that you received. So depending on what brush that you got, you can use your contour with any brush. So this is the 3D brush. So if you're using the 3D brush, you're going to take your smaller end of the 3D brush and you're going to apply your contour. It is going to go from the top of your ear to the center of your eye on both sides. That's your first step. Your second step is your jawline. Your third step is your forehead. You can also contour your nose and under your lip. Let me show you. So I'm going to use my buff brush. So I'm going to go in and apply my contour. My second step is to apply my main shade. Again, it doesn't matter what brush you use. So again, I have 3D, I have buff brush, I have a blush and bronzer, or you may have the blend brush. So it really depends on the brush determines the coverage that you get. So the buff brush is going to be a more full coverage. So I'm just going to take my main shade and I'm going to apply that all over my face, except the areas where my contour is, and also avoiding where I'm going to apply my brightening shade. So one thing to remember is you don't want to pick up a lot of product. You want to just dab into your makeup. You want to get enough product, but not too much. So dab and just use it until it's all off your brush. So I'm going to go right in under my contour and I'm just going to get all those areas. So yes, it looks a bit scary, but don't worry, it's going to blend out beautifully. Now I'm going to go back in with my brightening shade. Ideally, it is easier to use the smaller end of a brush. However, if you only have the blush and bronzer brush, just be sure to squeeze the end together when applying in small areas. So I'm going to use the smaller end of my buff brush. I'm going to apply the brightener in between my brows. I'm going to apply a little bit down my nose, in between the contour, my cupid's bow, my chin, and the inner and outer corner of my eyes. If you're super young and you don't have any under eye wrinkles, then you can certainly apply it all the way under your eye. I'm going to take my main shade and I'm just going to dab a little right in the center so that I have something, but yet it's not drawing attention to my wrinkles. Now I'm going to blend everything together. So when I applied my makeup, I started with the darkest. When I blend it, I'm going to start with the lightest. So I am going to spray the smaller end of my buff brush with our setting spray. This is not a Saint bottle. However, what is in here is Saint. So I'm just going to start by tapping in all my lighter shades. Then I'm going to flip my brush over, spray a little more setting spray, and blend my other shades. I'm going to save the contour for last because what I don't want to happen is I don't want to blend all my contour in. So I'm going to basically tap in my contour and lift. Tap and lift. You don't want to overblend your contour because then you won't be able to see it, which is what the purpose of contour is. Now when I do my forehead, I'm going to gently push my contour into my hairline. And if there's any that needs to be blended in, then what I'll do is I will press that into my skin with a damp perfector sponge, and it'll pick up any excess product. I'm going to take my damp perfector sponge and I'm just going to gently press it all over my face. Now you want to make sure that your sponge is not super wet. Usually I rinse it out and then squeeze it really well with Kleenex. My next step is my bronzer. If you didn't get bronzer yet, you can certainly skip this step, but you can always go back and add that. So it's best to get the bronzer collection. You are able to save $11 on that collection, and you get both the brush and the bronzer. So I'm going to take the smaller end of this brush and I'm just going to add some of my bronzer where the sun might naturally hit. So that would be my forehead, the tops of my cheeks. I usually add a little bit on my chin and then my neck. Then I'm going to flip that over to the fluffy end and I'm going to blend it all together. So if you didn't get bronzer, you can certainly skip to the next step, which is the lip and cheek. For your cheeks, I'm a fan of a brighter cheek. You may not be, and that is okay. Again, you can use any of your brushes. I'm going to use my blush and bronzer brush. So I'm going to take the smaller end and I'm going to take 2 fingers and apply my blush. So it's going to go 2 fingers, blush, and then blend up the sides. The color I'm wearing today is called Dahlia, and it is one of my absolute favorites. I usually don't go that light with my lips, but you certainly can. So I'm going to go in to the color Ruby, and I'm just going to add just a little bit to my lips. I have my mascara on and I'm ready for the day. If you have questions, please let me know.